We are the Nerd Eternal Network.
And as they burned in hell-bright fires, as they saw the melted flesh, as they burned with their own kindred, Cain blessed more funeral pyres, taking in his bloody sacrament. Hello, and welcome to Valley by Night, Dire Bears Tuesday night Vampire 5th Edition game. I'm your storyteller for the evening, Jason, from over at the Nerd Eternal Network. And with me as usual is Rap playing Maeve, Eric playing Samuel, Duba playing Alexander, Sarah playing Jolene, and you may even notice we're missing somebody tonight. He had real life stuff to do. Bah. But he should be back with us next week.
Excuse.
Well,
What is this real life you speak of?
I don't know. I've only heard rumors about it.
There is a fantasy.
And that's all we can do.
Well, we weren't really singing it, so there was no tune to that.
Have you met me?
We were just caught in a landslide.
Don't ever get Josh and I going on some of Starbomb's stuff. We will do the entire song. Whole thing.
Alright, so last week we had or I should say our kindred had a busy night or two, if I recall. Let me see. I have nothing written down in my notes.
Just a few.
But as I
Well,
recall,
we left on the cliffhanger of Samuel and Alexander needing to have a chat.
I believe we did. Right, shortly after Grandmother Dorcas had wanted you to do her a little favor. Hey,
Yep.
can you go get your buddy and lead him to his death?
Yeah.
Because, that'll be fine. You don't have to be the one to kill him. You just gotta lead him there.
Yeah. She doesn't want to ask too much of you.
She wasn't like, here's this steak, jam it into his heart.
Oh, that wouldn't kill anyway, but anyway. Let's see, so we had that going on. I believe Blackjack had his little meeting, or had the conclusion of his little meeting with the Prince and Primogen. Samuel had a conversation with his sire. Hipped him to some stuff going on. His sire is going to be looking into some things. Let's see. Jolene started some college classes. What did Maeve do last week? I remember
She
her.
didn't do much.
Yeah, I remember her checking in on her buddy, but that may have been from the week before.
It was from the
That
week
was the
before.
week before.
I don't think Maeve really did a lot. Besides message her sire about a place to lay low if things went to shit because Blackjack fucked up.
Yeah, so they had like a meeting at the Primrose. I think that was about the only other thing.
Yeah. Where y'all plotted y'all's escape, should that prove necessary. But everything seemed to settle out pretty well.
As far as we know.
As far as... Well, with the prince, as far as you know. I mean, they let Blackjack go, so that means something.
Yeah, I mean,
But we don't know what brainwashing they did to him.
We don't even know he was brainwashed, though.
Also
Yeah.
true.
See... So all y'all know is that everything is fine.
This is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Samuel setting fires behind us.
I mean, what?
Okay, somebody redeemed a stretch. Are y'all familiar?
You can redeem channel points for stuff.
Oh, yeah, yes. So everybody stretch. Though technically we are not really starting most of that until the next campaign here on Tuesdays. But since I didn't say nothing before he did that, we'll go ahead.
Really, baby?
Stretch is good for anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was the one that did it.
Well, I noticed it was like, oh, only visible to you. Redeem a stretch. Okay.
Is that what the little red thing means at the side?
I assume so.
Okay.
I have no idea.
I
Yeah.
reckon.
I know how to turn Twitch on. That's about
I
it.
mean, I've got like 12,000 points sitting in a pool.
66k.
21k I got.
I don't doubt that.
I've only got like
How
1.7.
much do I have?
Oh, for 750 points, that could be like no cursing.
Fuck that.
No cursing!
We haven't come up with a good punishment for what happens if they violate that.
Oh.
I'm voting that we punish whichever player does it.
I have a lot of.
All right.
Just black.
Back to the matter at hand, though.
Yes. Sorry.
All right. So we left off, I believe it was fairly early in the morning. Because Dorcas was telling Alexander, it was probably, she realized it was probably too late for him to be able to get out and lure the good doctor anywhere. But that if he could do it the next night, that would be great. But if it took another day longer than that, she'd understand. Just to let her know, and to bring him to the quarry. The Huntsville North Quarry is, surprise, in the North Huntsville area. Your characters are familiar with Stoner Park. The entrance to the quarry is basically across the road from Stoner Park.
That's
So
where
all
they
your
dropped
characters
off-
will know how to get there.
That's where they dropped off. What's his name?
Yeah, Stoner Park is where y'all dropped off Lee up at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I think you may have met Eddie there at least one other time.
Yeah. It's been used as a place of interest.
Mhm.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So as we start up the next morning, let me make sure I didn't have y'all roll last time. No.
I believe so.
So give me a rouse roll as y'all rouse up in the morning. Or evening.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, don't need to feed tonight.
Character
like
sheet,
I'm
where are they? You are.
Oh, okay.
My character sheet was like, I don't want to load.
I know what's waiting for me tonight. No.
Yeah, basically.
It's like, I don't want to load.
Alright, does anyone need to hunt?
Maeve does.
Okay. Your usual going after a druggie?
Usually going after a druggie. Because these drug dealers are just too many. It's just too much backup.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
That's not going to cut it.
No, it's not. I'm gonna... Oh wait, I can't do that. Never mind. Ignore that. I can't. I forgot.
Oh, that's right, because you succeeded at everything that wasn't a hunger dice, so yeah.
Never mind. So yeah, I guess I will go hungry tonight.
You're only at a 3. It's fine.
Only out of 3, he says.
So you go out. You're cruising your usual areas. You see the drug dealers. You see the dealers' security. Though it's been several weeks since you've attacked a dealer at this point. So they seem a little more relaxed.
Or it's been a while since. Also, Samuel has attacked the dealer.
I only did that once.
Yes. Yes, you did. So,
But he did leave him dead that one time, so, you know.
yeah, exactly.
I know what I'm about.
So you stake out one of your favorite dealers. You watch a few people come up in pairs. One woman comes up alone. They make a quick exchange. She kind of shovels off at kind of a speed walk. She seems a little nervous. Maybe she hasn't been at this as long as some of them you've hit. You move quickly up behind her, but just before you can pounce, apparently she hears you, and you catch a face full of mace.
Oh no, not the maze.
She doesn't say anything to you. She doesn't, assault you or anything. It just turns around and just empties her little spray thing of mace in your face. And you can hear her running off. Probably doesn't affect you quite as much as it would a normal person because you can just stop breathing. So that aspect of it isn't a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it gives her enough time that she manages to slip away. By the time you get your eyes cleared, you see some people on the other side of the road kind of looking at you. You're pretty sure they weren't there when you got sprayed, but, they've seen you there trying to get the stuff off your face. So you gonna go hungry?
I doubt I'm gonna be able to go hunt again.
Uh,
Unless I stake something out again.
Every hunting attempt would probably take you a couple hours.
Yeah. So. She's just gonna. Let's go hungry tonight.
Alright, and Duba left.
He should be back soon.
Okay.
He went to go use the bathroom.
Jolene!
Yes.
Oh, yes, I see that in the chat now. 3 screens, and I still can't keep up with all the chats and whatnot. Alright, Jolene, what are you doing?
She's only at 2 hunger right now. So she probably had a shift earlier. She's probably at work still.
Okay. So the sun sets, you see it getting dark outside, you realize all your buddies are probably waking up.
She makes sure her phone is on silent for the incoming barrage.
And sure enough, almost as soon as complete dark hits, you start getting them. As usual, it's the day drinkers that get it out first. Followed by all the ones that actually had to wake up.
Did they ever find what's her name? Becky.
No, the ones that the Bali got away with, y'all have not heard or seen anything from.
Okay. Okay.
Now, the sheriff's deputies are supposed to still be looking around, but at this point, it's kind of assumed that they're either already dead or at least have been taken out of the city.
Yeah. All right. So she will just be at work, kind of keeping an ear out for, if any other texts pop up later on during her shift.
Up early in the day, your buddy was on, the older lady, quizzing you about how your classes were going, and
Yeah, it's like high school all over again, except without all the clicks, which is kind of nice.
I thought you were doing it on your computer mostly. Wouldn't there be a lot of clicks?
Linda.
She walks away with a shit-eating grin on her face, so you know she was doing it on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Eric, what would Samuel be starting his day off doing?
Well,
Being filled with existential dread.
that too. He's gonna work on that fire ritual. Just in case.
What fire ritual is this?
The fire ritual.
Oh, you're just prepping another usage of it. Okay, gotcha. I got you. Well, I do believe that involves
Frenzy check.
You're going to eat before or after?
Which I succeed.
That's right, because you have to roll what, bonfire difficulty?
It's difficulty 2.
Yeah, same thing.
The ritual just barely succeeds.
I saw a green number come up. I was like, is he doing the crit thing all over again today?
No.
Okay. Good. Oh, yeah, you did just barely pull it off.
Yeah. But I do have the coal now.
So, just out of curiosity, what made Samuel want to have the fire spell ready to go today?
He saw Dorcas yesterday or last night with the thing. The thing booted him out of the dream because it recognized him. So he is surmising that it is entirely possible that if she is in either cahoots with it or working with it for some unknown end, that it might have told her that Samuel was looking. So him, as you stated last week, being the over-preparer, is making sure he's prepared.
Okay, that's fair. Just want to make sure you weren't, metagaming.
No. No.
Hey, look, the DM pulled out the map. Clearly, we're about to be ambushed in this camp, so I sleep in my armor.
See, that's when you do that after the fact.
Uh-huh.
I was like, hey, how's everybody going to sleep? Yeah, okay. Map. What?
That's just when I tell them, no, you took your armor off. Alright, so you've got your burning coal wrapped in aluminum foil, shoved in your pocket.
I do.
Hot pocket.
After that, he's gonna keep digging through his research and everything until somebody potentially comes knocking at his door, maybe.
Now I just go about my day until someone tries to kill me.
Yeah, more or less.
On his front door. No admittance unless on party business.
Fair.
Are you trying to tell me that's my cue to come up to you?
Perhaps.
I
Up to you,
mean,
though.
oh no, trust me. Alexander would probably been up first thing, like, looked at his goals and said, you know what to do, check everything, report to me if anything weird's showing up. Okay, bye. Just no hesitation, just pretty much letting them know, like, hey, just keep doing what you're doing, kids, you're doing fine.
Yeah.
The boss
while
seemed to
all
be
in
in a
his head,
hurry.
while in his head he is freaking out and screaming eternally.
Why did I ever move this cane from Cotton City. Why?
Why didn't I just
God
take my
forsaken,
chances
that's what I
and
was
get out to the werewolf? I
That
could have
might
just
have
taken.
been nice.
They'd have just eaten me. They wouldn't have asked me to betray a friend.
Pretty much.
It's not wrong.
So, as Alexander exits his haven, what's he gonna get himself into?
As much as he doesn't want to say anything to Samuel, he wishes this was all a bad fever dream. He's going to keep up his end of the deal to Grandmother Dorcas and go tell him.
Now, if
Now
you
again-
recall, she was leaving it up to you to come up with the story that would lure him there.
Oh yes, she just said that that Alexander just needs to get Samuel there in some shape or form. She didn't specify how and to what degree of detail that he knows, just that he gets there and that her boys will do the rest. So it's an internal screaming conflict of this poor man, because now he could theoretically spill the beans of everything to Samuel and continue to keep his trust, or he can essentially just come up with a BS excuse and just say, "Oh, you need it at the quarry. I'll meet you ahead of time, or I'll go ahead and scout it out for you," and then just leave Samuel there, and then huzzah, chaos. Which will make Grandmother happy, but it's gonna make the coterie a whole hell of a lot pissed at him.
Only if they know you're involved. I mean, don't send it in the group chat and they'd never know.
Oh, he's not. He's walking personally to Samuel's front door.
And
Because, yay, those early days of slumber parties.
and if Samuel were to live and then tell the coterie, then the coterie's gonna be like, oh.
That's when he goes, I have a perfectly reasonable explanation. And then he obfuscates and runs away. Which, you know,
Fire.
might not work anymore, but that's what he'd be expecting.
That little stunt wouldn't work no more with at least Samuel. Could work with the others, but not him. Already can hear Blackjack ready to curse him out. It's like, wait, where'd that sorry thing go?
Yeah. Where'd he go? That way.
Wait, how you know, Samuel? Reasons.
Stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so Alexander is headed to Samuel's house.
Yeah.
For the fun and chaos to begin.
So while you were doing your research, and as far as researching, you know, the stuff the Bali's interested in, the Unconquered Sun, you've pretty well tapped your resources in your own personal library.
Yeah. Basically, what he's kind of looking for is this something that the Bali would more than likely be interested in, kind of a thing.
Give me a
Would this be
research roll
about-
right quick. Give me a research roll right quick.
Research roll? Okie dokie.
Or whatever roll we used when you did your research.
I think it's occult intelligence.
That sounds right.
Would this be using any of my specialties? I can't remember.
Oh, wait, what were your specialties again?
Blood sorcery, werewolves, and spirits.
No.
Okay. Occult intelligence modifier 5. Six.
Okay. Not a bad roll.
I literally went half
Yeah.
out of 12 dice.
No way to be completely certain. But
Okay.
everything you have found out about this thing from your own abilities, from your own disciplines, to read and own it, you're fairly certain it's some sort of ancient kindred that is up under the city. That was the impression you got from being in his head that one time. The Bali, when they do their like summonings, and they're usually trying to do things with demons.
Right.
So it's a distinct possibility. Like I said, you can't be sure, but it's a distinct possibility that they have a misconception about what is under the city. Unless, God forbid, there's two somethings under the city.
Yeah, we don't know for sure. That's very true.
I'm sure Sam was hoping not, but that is a possibility. But it's also a possibility that they're just, that they know that there's something old under there and they've jumped to conclusions as to what it is.
Yeah. Fair enough.
And then there's a knock at your door.
He's gonna let his ghoul answer.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting you've all got flunkies these days.
Hey man, we gotta upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us do. Some of us don't.
Well, you started with a flunky. He's just a very specialized flunky.
Yeah, to keep me safe.
Yeah.
Sleep.
He's at home now, peeing on the rug because you didn't take him out for a walk before you went hunting.
As they say, was that one of our kids making that noise?
No, Vinny's right behind me. That's upstairs, I think.
Okay. I love that.
So Alexander, one of the ghouls, answers the door. Samuel, do you have a name for your ghouls?
I didn't put any down, no.
Okay. Samuel Ghoul A answers the door.
Fair.
Now known as SGA. But I'm assuming that you had introduced them all to the party.
Yeah.
To the coterie.
Mm-hmm.
He opens the door. Doesn't seem startled to see you. Master Alexander. How are you this evening?
So far, not too bad, though that could change here in a few moments. However, I do need to speak with Master Samuel. I take it he's in?
Yes, just one moment and I'll announce you. Then he shuts the door in your face. He does, but not quite. Not like a slam or anything.
Just hold the thought. It's like, ow.
Well, he's not going to scream through the house. He's more dignified than that.
Of course.
He walks back to whatever room Samuel's doing his research in.
He's in his library.
It's Master Alexander. He says he needs to speak with you about something. And he goes back to the door. Doesn't take but just a minute. Alexander, the door opens. Please come in. He'll see you. You know where the library is, don't you?
Yes, I'll see myself there. Thank you.
He just gives you a little nod of his head and shuts the door. And goes back to whatever else he does in Samuel's house at night.
Occasionally sweep the charcoal and ash and soot.
He's in the kitchen, sweeping very slowly while he watches TV on the counter.
Probably fair.
Oh yeah, fair.
Well, it's not like Samuel would use the kitchen as a kitchen all that often, so
No, not really.
It's probably gotten used a lot more since you got ghouls staying in the house.
Yep.
It's like, wait, aroma. Is that a thing? Yes, smell. I remember.
If Samuel bothers to breathe most of the time.
That's true.
At his humanity, he doesn't necessarily.
Also true.
He's not like Blackjack, where it's still a reflex.
Alexander?
Greetings, Master Samuel. I take it everything in your research is going decent. All is well.
Well enough. What can I help you with?
I'm curious, how, and please, sir, do not take this the wrong way. How paranoid are you at times?
On a level of 1 to Tremere.
You are aware what happened to my clan, correct?
To be 100% honest, no. As far from what I can gather from small details, your clan was attacked at one point.
Yes. Due to complacency. So you can say that I am very paranoid. Yes.
And your visions?
Well enough. Why are you asking?
Remember when you talked to me the other day about a vision you saw, where you essentially saw dear sweet grandmother and you were freaked away?
Yes.
I'll say it like this. If you were paranoid about the worst case scenario of the situation, it was right.
I sort of figured.
Though I was put in an uncomfortable position, but I had to at least let her know that I knew of it. As I already got a bullseye on my back from grandmother, and I didn't need to continue to put more flame under my feet, as it were.
I see.
But I'll come clean with you, Samuel. I'm unfortunately at a... yeah, I'd rather not do that, but that's just me. But, unfortunately, I am, in a bit of a dilemma. If not a very uncomfortable predicament.
She means to use you as her instrument, doesn't she?
Not in the way you think. She was glad that I was showing loyalty again to the clan upon giving her information.
What
So-
kind?
Oh no, sorry. In the gist of feeding her suspicions that you knew, that you saw her in that vision.
I told you not to tell her.
Well, to be fair, sir, at this point you can use it to your advantage.
I'll have to.
Well, the gist is, she means for me to lure you.
Where?
Cory.
Of course. It's far enough out of the way.
Essentially, all I was to do of instrument was to at least come up with enough of a story to get you to go there. Again, she said that her lackeys would take care of the rest, so I did not have to stain my hands. But my hands would be stained no matter what I did. Granted,
We're vampires, Alexander. Our hands are always going to be stained.
in some shape or form, yes. Some more than others, but that's beside the point. Again, she did not specify on how I got you there, let alone if I gave you any extra details. I already know you're paranoid, so I figured even if I came out with the bold white lie, if not a devilishly wonderful one, to coax you out there, you'd still be ready for a fight regardless.
Well, of course I would. She'd be calling me out not 1 to 2 nights after I saw her speaking whatever's under the city. Just makes sense.
Oh no, I am very well aware. But that is now where the problem lies. Again, I know clan loyalty is something that a lot of people, especially my clan, hold highly. But you are also the person that took me in, so I cannot destroy your loyalty either. So unfortunately, I am in a rather interesting predicament.
You are. Loyalty to your clan or loyalty to those that have stuck by you all this time?
Well, sir, I've sat here and I've told you literally everything that I know of the current situation.
So I see. Well, seems like plans have to be made then. Good
She's at least given me some time. To at least give her roughly 2 to 3 days at the most, and at most, to somewhat brush it off, but I doubt if I made it past the 3rd day she'd become suspicious. Which again, she knows you're busy, she knows that several things are going on. So she can forgive 1 to 2 days, but I can guarantee you if we were to try to even remotely go past any more than that, you may not see me.
So I see.
This is the problem. Though I'm going to ask out of curiosity. Do you have any plans tonight? Probably the prince, if nothing else.
I had a few. I have several plans in the works, though they need to be sped up now. Why?
Well, I suppose only a thought, but maybe to somehow get someone of his most loyal and close to you to witness the travesty that is of someone trying to attack you. To be fair, in logical terms, Grandmother Dorcas doesn't theoretically have anything to go on, or at least nothing to really throw at you. If you think about it in this sense, what she has is one of the greatest secrets of the city. For her to admit that she has a right to attack you on that premise alone means that this is also something she's hiding from the prince and the other Primogen.
Yes.
Which she cannot afford to do if she wishes for not everyone to turn on her.
I will say this, Alexander. I will not tell you my plans, so you do not have to feel like you have to choose between me or your Primogen. All I will tell you is that there are plans, and that they need to be brought to fruition.
Well then I'll ask this. Is there anything that my recently acquired ghouls can help assist? Possibly either reconnaissance or at least surveillance of the areas?
If you can, without being seen or noticed, keep an eye on the Nosferatu around here. I'll be doing the same. I have picked up a few tricks, shall we say. But it's better to have more than one pair of eyes.
Understood.
Before you do that, however, I want you to meet with everyone else and tell them yourself what is going on. Am I clear?
Bet you are. As you wish, sir. I will inform the others. Oh. Shall I tell grandmother that unfortunately you're too busy for today, that you seem that you'll be free tomorrow? Or shall we go ahead and just let her know that you might be able to clean an opening at some point tonight?
Let her know that I will need 2 days. And then I will be with her after that.
As you wish. I shall inform everyone to meet me at the Primrose. Of course you don't have to join if you don't wish to, sir.
I will be unable to. I have a lot I need to get done.
Well, I'm sorry to bother you, but thank you for the time.
Thank you for at least informing.
And the second, dear sweet Samuel either starts to turn or blinks.
He Batman's out, huh?
Does he obfuscate?
He does.
Okay. Close the door on your way out, Alexander. I can still see you.
In mid-stride, you will witness him stop.
Now, see
Give
the
a thumbs
unseen, does that require a rouse check to use it?
No, it does not. It is a level 1 power.
Oh, that seems unusually stout for a level 1.
That does sound unusually stout to be able to see.
Hold on.
Whenever there's something supernatural hiding in plain sight. Okay, there's a contested roll to it. If everybody
Yeah.
using obfuscate would roll wits plus obfuscate versus, or you would roll wits obfuscate, he would roll wits, or excuse me, I'm getting that backwards. So both of you would roll your wits plus your discipline.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I'm not really going to roll to oppose. He would literally just, like, stop mid-walk, give a thumbs up, and you'd hear the creak, click.
Mm-hmm.
At that point in time, he would quickly message. He wouldn't do this in a group text either. He would individually go to Maeve, Jolene, and Blackjack. Even though we know he kind of was in prison though. But he would essentially would message them like, "Hey, meet me at our usual spot." And he would just kind of leave it at that, real brief, and then quickly turn over to Grandmother Dorcas and let her know, like, Samuel has agreed to the meeting. However, with his schedule, he's going to need at least 1 to 2 days. Or let me phrase that. He's going to need at least 2 days' time to get all his work caught up.
And you're sending this to her via text?
Yes.
Okay.
Or would she even have a cell phone? Would this be going to, like, the whip or something?
This would probably be going to the whip.
Okay, then he would text that to the whip, like, "Hey, let grandmother know Samuel's agreed to the meeting. unfortunately, with his busy schedule, he's going to need at least 2 days to get everything caught up. And he'll wait for a response from the whip.
The whip responds pretty quickly. Cool, cool. We look forward to seeing him. I may swing by your place early this morning, or early tomorrow morning. Iron out the details.
All right, see you then.
And he says one more text that says 4-ish. That would give him enough time to talk to you and still get back underground before the sun comes up.
Oh, yeah. And then his happy tail makes his way on down the Primrose.
All right. The
Honestly,
evening primrose.
Honestly, I should be doing a roll every week at this point, or every session, to see if his athletics goes up a point.
Got great legs.
I mean, they don't look any better than they did when he was alive.
Train wreck. Face, total train wreck. Legs, fantastic.
He has the
Never
calves
skips
of a
leg day.
Greek god.
Never skips like that.
The trick is, it wouldn't look like it, though, because he wouldn't physically change from what he looked like as a human.
Yeah, but still.
Maybe he had great legs when he was alive, too. We don't know.
Now, that is possible.
Yeah, maybe. Gosh.
It's just some point near the end of the campaign, we're just going to be like, hey, Alexander, show us your legs.
Like, he out of nowhere, he's just like, okay, just opens the robe, opens up a little slit, you just see, like, this high quality tone, like, thigh and calf.
Like a spotlight out of somewhere.
It's like,
Angels.
it's like, how on earth how do you have that good of a leg? Do you realize how much I walk in this city? There you go. Hides legs out of the robe.
Alright, so Maeve gets this message while she's still cleaning Mace out of her eyes.
Oh, God.
And then with that, she'll head to the Primrose.
Okay. So that's where you go straight from your failed hunting trip.
Yep, failed hunting trip. She's hungry and cranky.
Jolene, you're at the tail end of your shift when you get the message.
She'll let him know, I've got this much left on my shift. I'll be over there ASAP.
You also get Alexander also gets a text back from Blackjack saying he'll be there. When you arrive, Bree is still there. Store's closed. She's in the process of doing that last bit of cleaning up she does before she splits. She hears the bell, the back door bell that she installed so Alexander couldn't sneak up on her. Though she has become much more relaxed around you. So it dings. A few seconds later, you see her stick her head around. Hey, Alexander.
Good evening, Bree.
Y'all have another club meeting?
Yeah, something like that. Little thing I've got to let the others know.
That's cool. I'll be out of your hair in a few minutes.
Oh, you're perfectly fine, dear. Take all the time you need.
And one by one, the rest of the coterie shows up. Maeve and Blackjack are probably the first ones to arrive. Probably Blackjack. He was probably already out patrolling. Where Maeve have to get back to wherever her car was and then drive. And 30 minutes or so later, Jolene, having gotten off work, comes by. Any of you that are bothering to breathe, Yeah, there's a smell coming off of Maeve. I'm not sure. Truthfully, I'm not sure exactly what mace smells like, but I know it's strong. Kind of burns the nostrils.
What the hell happened to you?
Mace.
Oh God! Did you? Someone try to, like, were you trying to season somebody or something? Jesus.
They maced me.
She's like trying really hard not to laugh.
I'm just picturing Maeve sitting there. They maced me.
It's like the Ghostbusters. He slimed me.
Basically.
Milk helps if your eyes are stinging.
I'm good.
It's really only her pride that's staying at this point.
Might want to change your shirt. And yeah. Why are we here?
They would have seen Alexander sitting in front of the little security system. He'd probably been glancing through to see if there's any abnormalities.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anything weird. Some
Like,
lady
none of
shoplifted some little something out of the front of the store earlier today, but that's about it.
I mean, Alexander would just kind of shrug and leave a note on Bree's desk, like, just to let you know this was taken. But for the most part, he'd be kind of looking for anything that, like, static or just like any type of white noise, like something trying to disrupt the video feed and the cameras.
3 days later, the police are questioning Bree because some customer was found dead two streets over. Sign goes up warning, we eat shoplifters.
Shoplifters will be exsanguinated.
But Alexander will just kind of slowly, like, kind of spin around from the little table and look at everybody and be like, well,
There's a cat in his lap. He's stroking it.
I was thinking one of his rats. So the reason I called you
Really
here
big
today.
rat.
well, I think we all have forgotten, and myself included, that he does have a familiar, and yes, it is a giant rat.
I didn't forget. You just never ever talked about your rat ever again.
Does it have a name?
Ratbert.
Radicus.
Ooh, Radicus Maximus. He's the best rat.
That or Radicus Rex.
It's a king rat.
I know, besides, I even forgot about it since we hardly did anything that required me to have something extra. I never really thought about him. I mean, piss, we sometimes forget about Vinny. You know.
No, I don't.
Well, I'm running
So-
the game, so in typical old school DM fashion, I don't think about your familiars until you mention them and then they poof into existence.
Fair enough. But anyway, but he kind of spins around, looks at Jolene like, the reason you're here is me.
Is Samuel going to be part of this meeting?
Samuel
Are we
was,
throwing him a surprise party or something?
unfortunately, surprise is what is in store, but not the kind that he wants. Look, I'll be brief. I've already informed him. As you know, he is a paranoid soul. Truth of the matter is, his paranoia has paid off. For the fact of which he has seen Grandmother Dorcas, she knows. Though understand, I already have a big enough target on my back from her. And I was in a rather uncomfortable position to try and answer her about if Samuel saw her or not. Judging by her beloved grip on my shoulder, if I lied, I probably would not be standing in front of you long tonight. However, since a lot of you have shown me just as much kindness as anyone would probably ever show me, I have informed, and he smiles at Jolene with a Cheshire smile that he can. I have warned dear Dad of what could happen.
So what basically has happened is we're gonna have to kill your Primogen. Because I don't think she's gonna take kindly to you having unveiled any plans.
As I was instructed, I did not have to do anything to harm Samuel. She just wanted me to have him agree to meet at a particular location as soon as possible. The location is the quarry, and I'm sure you can imagine as to why.
She thinks she's gonna off him. Or have somebody off him.
Probably a few good of my fellow Nosferatu. Essentially, they'll do the dirty work, I just had to get them there. Even though I am not physically the one harming Samuel, my hands would still be stained on the fact of trying to have him killed. But I know the man is paranoid, and I know he's going to prepare. Luckily, she has agreed to let him have his 2 days for him to do what he needs to do. Though the whip has informed me that he will meet me tomorrow. Or at least, quote-unquote, tomorrow morning. For us. To iron out the details.
He's supposed to be showing up alone?
She never did say whether he had to have company or not, just to get him there. Now, theoretically, if push does come to shove, and if Samuel deems it worthy, there is a way I can help. In my paranoid and rather stressful few evenings, I have been doing a little bit of practicing, as it were. Is Bree still around? Or is she vacated by now?
Let's see, it was a half hour later. By the time Jolene showed up. Yeah, she'd have still been there when Blackjack and Maeve showed up, but she's left before Jolene got there.
Okay. So, there's something I can't do. And he motioned to Blackjack. And he's like, again, this is just something that will benefit all of us in the long run. And as he kind of stands there, and you kind of see him focusing to try and obfuscate, you probably start to see him, like try to kind of phase, like to being unseen, back and forth. But let me see. Wait,
Blackjack standing there with one arm cocked back, like, you know, like if this hurts, I'm going to punch you.
He then stops and he's actually like looks at Maeve and like, come up here too. And he kind of stands in between both of them, and he asks them, "Are you willing to do this? Just for a moment."
Depends on what it is that you're asking us.
Oh, to be fair, it'd be nothing at all, but hopefully I can sustain myself and this doesn't go poorly. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll a rouse check.
Okay.
I fail, so I'm gonna probably have to later on go back and feed on my rats, but that's fine.
Now you used your rats last session, didn't you?
Well, I guess I will have to go hunting. Damn. I have to go find old Bessie.
Free range rats.
That
Organic.
or just go find some free range rats in sewers. No big deal. But so he flinches, but he just places his hand on Maeve's shoulder and on Blackjack's arm. And before your very eyes, dear Jolene, they disappear. Under the power of the Cloak of Gathering, which I will put out here. Boop.
That's a fun trick.
That's a lot to read.
It's
Basically, he can obfuscate other people.
Mm-hmm.
He does it for a moment, and he comes out of obfuscation, which I don't think disrupts them.
Probably not if you don't want it to.
And he kind of.
Now, all of you that are under it can still perceive each other.
Yeah, it says if anyone besides the user is revealed either through their own doing or an astute observer, the rest of the group remains hidden.
Yeah, and they use his
If
obfuscate
the
rating.
user is revealed, so is everyone else. So as soon as you come out of obfuscate, we all do.
No. Wait.
But it does say that
The
at the
user.
end.
Oh,
It
users
does, if the
revealed
user-
either through their own doing. If the user, okay, never mind. I didn't get to the bottom.
But yeah, so after he like pops out, you'll see both Blackjack and Maeve just reappear as he's like, "Oh, that cost me a little bit. I'll need to fix that in a minute."
When's this meeting's in what, 2 days?
Yes, it's in 2 days. Anyway, that's at least something I can do to help if it must be under the guise of he is alone.
Does the quarry have like is it a, like, sunken quarry, or?
I would imagine most quarries is like an open pit style.
Yeah, it's open pit style. It's kind of up in, there's a lot of hills in Huntsville. It's kind of up on one of those.
Cool.
Swap y'all over to happen to have a map of it. Or a picture of it, I should say.
For no reason.
No reason at all.
They have some of the prettiest lakes in them.
They do.
It's surprisingly how clean the water looks sometimes.
Until you remember what they're digging out of the quarry.
I think it's mostly just, is it limestone they use in, cement and stuff?
Limestone is used for a lot of things, especially the lime is used for making iron and steel.
Okay. You got a bunch of different companies that are involved in it. I know one of them's a cement place and Vulcan Minerals.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of goodies to be had out of that.
But yeah, I think if I recall right, it's basically like two hilltops that they're kind of tunneling down into. I'm not sure exactly which companies are controlled, but none of that matters for this.
Yeah.
As you can see, it's almost like two quarries next to each other.
Yeah.
Or two pits next to each other, at least.
I can see if...
The one most directly across from Stoner Park is the one that you're supposed to lure him into.
So, like, up here?
Yeah, though, somewhere towards the back is where they're wanting to take it.
So we just go obfuscate through here all the way over here.
Or just come through the woods behind it or something.
Probably.
Yeah, there's nothing dangerous in the woods of North Huntsville. Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
Just Maeve turns into a wolf and just goes through that. All fine and dandy.
I mean, theoretically you could.
Yep. Andrew and Blackjack just riding on her back. Would work.
No, we're not. Maeve probably cannot hold Blackjack's weight.
Like
Alexander's. Yeah, but Blackjack's probably not.
Can't Maeve turn into something that flies?
I didn't take that perk yet.
Did you not? Okay.
I haven't. I'm about to start doing that route.
Okay.
Caw, motherfucker, caw.
And turn into a big old flying bat.
feelers out. Thin blood's owe 'em. Maybe some of us can help.
That I'll leave up to you. To be fair, once I figure out the finer details of this oh so wondrous plan, I'll see what I can do for at least letting some information slip. And as he's like explaining some of this, he continues to frequently go back to the cameras to see if there's any static or see if anything's starting to mess with the.
You don't
with
see
the
anything that
cameras.
seems to be particularly suspicious.
And again, the reason why I ask this is because of this particular perk of mine that he fears some of his Nosferatu brothers might actually have as well. Of Ghost in the Machine. Where
Well, you've got the
electronics
advantage in
can't-
this case that, to your knowledge, nobody knows about the Primrose.
Oh, like Samuel, he's a paranoid SOB, so he's looking for anything that looks like
Oh yeah,
just
looking is absolutely fine. I'm just saying you don't wind up finding anything. I'm not gonna make you make you roll for it.
Yeah. And he kind of looks back at everybody's like, again, I think Samuel's paranoia is rubbed off on me. That's why I keep looking at the cameras to see if anyone's around that shouldn't be. But that's beside the point. But that is essentially all the reason I gathered you here. Either way, there's a good chance that I may not be around for much longer, whether that be through Samuel's permission or through my Primogen's. I do not know what power that woman yields. I can only assume, as old as she is, it is enough to probably erase me from what remains of this beloved city before anyone was the wiser.
Well, everybody else in the clan walks mighty lightly around her.
Yeah, I'm the only idiot that continues to walk in the house with a heavy foot.
Just walking around in cleats on her hardwood floor.
Hey, Grandma, are you here?
Hey, Granny, I kind of need to do something today. I need your permission.
You're the one that tracks the mud across the carpet.
Pretty much, where everybody is like walking with their own dustpan, walking backwards, sweeping up their own trail.
He's like the worst spy ever.
But yes, again, all that I've informed you, I've told Samuel. Well, the only thing I didn't tell him was that neat little trick I showed you. But other than that,
Speaking of Dr. Samuel, let's cut back to him. What does Samuel begin to do as Alexander leaves?
Well, he is going to text his sire and let him know that he's got 2 days.
Takes a little while for a text to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Until what?
His response is, until I might be disappearing.
That potential conflict we were concerned about?
Indeed.
Do you need to disappear before that?
I have a few plans. I'm going to see how they go. I will keep you informed.
If you need my help, don't hesitate to ask.
I will. For now, though, if you have something for me, I think I might be needing to send a bit of a call to the head of our department, as it were.
You get the head of the department with a capital E. You know, all the is all capitalized. The head of the department?
Yes.
I can get a message to him.
If that doesn't work, I did some good work for him in the past, and I might see about calling that in.
Just a second.
Yep. Work is blowing up my phone. Apparently something exploded, quote unquote.
As long as it's not your doing, it's not your
As long
fault.
as it's not literally exploding.
The IT guys
50-50.
put some new parts in our milling machine, and apparently the job that I set to run using all the standard parameters that I usually do is going wacky. So they're all like, "What am I doing? What am I doing?" I'm like,
Stop touching it.
yeah, basically. Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, he lets you know he can probably get a message to him.
Okay.
Though he warned you that, you know, even if he wanted to rush here, he wouldn't be there in 2 days.
If it comes down to it, we might need to inform him that we found something very ancient down here that we found some interesting archaeology in the caves that he might have interest in.
So if things go, he's like, so if things go poorly, just let him in on everything we discussed.
Yes.
A reasonable
It
backup
is.
plan.
And he'll respond with, "That's the funny thing about human nature. If you're going down, you tear the throat out of whatever's killing you."
He responds with, figuratively speaking.
Of course.
Very well. Let me know if you need. Let me know when you need this message sent, and what it needs to say.
Of course. If my meeting with the local head of our group does not pan out, I will let you know.
Trying to think of how he would end a message. I was gonna go thumbs up emoji, but he's far too old.
Mm-hmm.
He knows his tech well enough to do it, but can't bring himself to use it. And I don't know if go with God is appropriate for vampires.
Well, I mean, technically. There are several that are religious.
That's true. Yeah, I never did bring the Church of Cain into this.
Yep.
Or the Nodist Church, or whatever they call themselves. But yeah, you basically get to go with God, kind of.
I'd say there's also the cult of the dragon, and
Mithras has his own cult.
yeah.
But anyway, he signs off however he usually does.
Mm-hmm. Then after that, Samuel will send a text to Abla, asking her if she would be free to speak today or tomorrow.
She teaches night classes at Calhoun.
Yep.
And she lets you know when her lunch break is. If it's nothing that's gonna take too much time.
Okay. Will she have time like that night?
Yes.
Okay. Say I'll meet you there then.
All right. She lets you know when her lunch break is.
He's going to leave a message with his ghoul to send. Actually, no, he's going to go there in person. He'll go to the. My brain. Country club.
The ledges.
Yes. He's going to see if the Seneschal is there.
Okay. You show up. One of the regular ghouls is at the door. Good evening, Doctor. Opens the door for you.
Good evening. Is the Seneschal in?
Yes, I believe Mr. Tucker is in. If you ask someone inside, I'm sure they can tell you exactly where he's at.
Of course. And Samuel will go. He'll ask if Mr. Tucker is in.
One of the Toreador that helps run the place. Not Marcy, one of her underlings. Directs you out to the golf course.
And he will head on out there.
As you head out there, you catch up with the Seneschal on the second hole.
Mm-hmm.
He is there with Miles Ross, the Toreador Primogen.
Mm-hmm.
And David Chatham, the Malkavian Primogen.
Okay.
And they appear to be golfing.
Samuel will wait, as is polite, for them to finish their swings. You never speak when someone's swinging.
Oh, no.
That is very poor form.
You know the rules of the Scottish game.
Of course. Me, IRL, I play, so I definitely know those rules. I actually miss golfing. I need to go back and...
Oh, if only Blackjack were here. I can just see him about the time they rear back. 4!
Samuel just grab him by the other. What is wrong with you?
So they all take their swings. In the midst of all that, they notice that you're there.
And he'll just remain silent, sort of a nod until they're done with their swings.
The Seneschal approaches you. Is there something you need, Doctor?
Yes, I do not wish to take away from your game, of course. However, this is a bit of an urgent matter.
Oh, please, we can step over here. Gentlemen, please. He turns back to the Primogen. Gentlemen, please, play on. I'll catch up.
Again, I apologize.
And then quietly as y'all walk away, or not. Oh, I hate this game.
It is interesting to pass the time on occasion. However, this is a bit time sensitive.
Certainly.
As in within the next 2 days, 2 nights, if at all possible, as I may or may not have been given final death by then.
Oh, that's serious. Very well, Doctor. Tell me exactly what is going on.
You are aware of the members of my coterie,
Mm-hmm.
of course. The Nosferatu member, Alexander, has approached me with a warning. Something that I have found. His Primogen has informed him that he is to lead me to the quarry at the northern end of the city, where the Nosferatu are to dispose of me.
That is some serious accusations. Do you have any proof to back this up?
I can call him here and he can verify. I do have also all of the information that I have gleaned thus far, as well as a very powerful vision from my Auspix discipline. Though I'm not sure how much that would hold up.
That's not exactly evidence I could present to the prince.
I do have everything that I have gleaned thus far, with physical evidence, aside from that, which is about a trunk's worth.
Bring that to me. Let's see here.
I of course would like to make sure that the prince is informed, as this could likely involve a major conflict between the Nosferatu and the Tremere.
Well, if Grandmother Dorcas is bringing final death to someone in the prince's domain, that would bring her into conflict with the prince.
Well, yes, I brought my concerns up to my sire, and it has been mentioned that if it comes down to it, there might be some much older Tremere coming to figure out what goes on should that happen. I'm trying to avoid that.
Yes, you would make no friends by bringing...
I would make none. That I understand. That is why I'm taking what avenues I must to ensure that the integrity of the prince's domain is maintained.
Do you know the manner in which she plans to attack you?
From what Alexander informed me, he was not told of the details, only that he is to lead me there, and she will spare him having to dispose of me, but that other members of her clan would do so. If necessary, I am willing to say that the favor that the prince owes me will be considered satisfied if he would meet with me on the matter and listen to it seriously.
I will take this to the prince at once.
Thank you. Would you like the evidence?
Yes.
If you're leaving at once, you can follow me back and I can give it to you.
Very well. Well, I know it's at your home.
Yes.
I will meet you there. One moment, I need to let my partners know that business calls.
Of course.
He turns back and you're still just close enough to hear him when he starts talking. Man, he sounds regretful to have to leave. I mean, he's quite the actor, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But, duty calls. You do hear Primogen Ross say, well, hope it's nothing too serious. Hope the good doctor hasn't gotten himself in any trouble.
I will say, yeah, Samuel would be listening with his heightened senses. Actually.
The Seneschal just kind of, it's not. It's a time-sensitive matter, but it should be fine. And as you get out of earshot, even with the heightened senses, as you start getting earshot, you start hearing David Chantham start making excuses to call it early himself.
See, as I do get out of earshot, Samuel will say to Seneschal, "You are a consummate actor. I am impressed."
It goes along with the job.
I see why you do so well.
He seems pleased with that bit of flattery. But, now, he follows you back to your place. Now, give me a refresher. What physical evidence do you have that you'd be giving him?
He has all the notes that he's found, everything that his visions have found him, everything that he's studied, both at the Chantry and with his own personal library and the library of his sire. He has the note that he found from the old Chantry, as well as the notebook of the previous Chantry heads. Though he will say that the notebook and that sheet of paper is something he would prefer to hold on to and will present himself because he doesn't want it out of his sight, given it is sensitive information. But he would assure the Seneschal that he will present it to the prince for purview, if the prince meets with him.
Very well. He can't blame you for that. He takes whatever else you've offered.
Which is about a trunk full of stuff.
Yeah.
Notes, maps, everything. There is
he
one
grabbed
map
one of his
in there.
coming through the country club. He grabbed one of his underlings that were there. So,
Yeah.
so that poor guy is the one stuck carrying the
Yeah.
trunk.
There is also a map where he notates where that last vision took him.
The cave entrance.
The cave entrance, the route that he saw, where it was at, along with attached notes of what he saw along the way, who he saw there, in there talking to this ancient being, which will notate that it was Grandmother Dorcas that he saw. And followed by a further note of that whatever was down there noticed his vision and kicked him out, and that he is now he's now going to have to start making preparations because it's entirely possible that Grandmother Dorcas is also aware. And basically it's a whole chunk of stuff that he's been compiling ever since this started.
Alright. So the Seneschal and his flunky take that off. And, they head down the street to where the prince and Lady Deschler's domain, or not domain, mansion is.
Mm-hmm. So Samuel will also make sure he has his copies of this stuff too, because he's going to be showing Obla that.
About 20 minutes later, you get a text from Lady Deschler.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor, if you have a moment, could you swing by the house, please?
Of course, I'd be happy to. And he'll swing by and make sure he has that notebook on him. Or journal, but yes.
As you get there, one of the house ghouls opens the door for you. Doctor, please come in. The lady is expecting you.
My thanks.
She's in the reading room. I believe you know the way.
I do. Thank you, sir. And he'll head on in there.
As you get in there, you see Lady Deschler's there. The Seneschal is there. You do not, however, see the prince. Nora gets up. Samuel, please come in.
Thank you.
This is some serious news you brought us.
Yes, I am aware. From what Alexander told me, Dorcas wanted the act done tonight. Told him that I would need about 2 days to finish my own personal business. But
So So she's simply trying to set up a meeting with you to do this? Or was he supposed to lure you in with some fancy story?
From what Alexander told me, he was supposed to lure me in with a story regarding my research. And from his words verbatim, that other members of her clan were to take care of me once I arrived. That she was going to spare him having to do it himself.
I must say, I never trusted her.
I can call him and have him verify if you wish. He did meet with her personally.
Don't worry about that right now. We will wish to speak to him at some point.
Of course. I have him informing the other members of my coterie, just in case.
Well, yes, of course. It may be difficult for you to get my husband to act against her. He and Dorcas have always been close. She was, well, she's not a native to the city, but she's been living in the city since before he was born. In some ways, I think he looks at her as something of an aunt. You know, she remembers the city as he remembers the city. I'm of a similar age to my husband, but had never been in Huntsville during my living days.
Of course. It's probably a very highly cultivated relationship on her part.
That has always been what I suspected.
But as I told the Seneschal, well, he'd call him by name, but my brain is just...
Tucker.
Tucker. As I told Mr. Tucker, your husband does owe me a favor for our acts that my coterie and I have done to help preserve the integrity of his domain. If it comes down to it, I'm willing to call that in and consider it fulfilled if he would at least listen to what I have to say objectively.
Well, he'll definitely listen to you. Or, allow you to present your case, I should say.
Of course.
The favor you owe isn't enough that he would actively act against Dorcas. Though if you go to this meeting, he might very well send along backup, ready to act if they actually attacked you.
Of course. Though given their propensity for staying quiet, if they do see backup with me, they might choose not to act. And it might appear that I am just attempting a power play, so to speak, trying to destabilize his control of the city, which is not my intent by any means. I would prefer to remain, not a pile of ash on the ground.
Wouldn't we all? She looks over to a slightly shadowed corner of the room. Scylla, dear, would anyone see you backing up Dr. Samuel? And the female gargoyle fades into view.
Well, we need to make opposing rolls to that, because
you're right. I forgot all about that. And it's wits versus wits, plus the
wits obfuscate versus wits auspics.
All right, give me a second. I wasn't expecting to need their stats.
Sorry.
No.
Is this when you mentioned fading in view? Wait a minute. Would Samuel have seen her?
Yep. That's the thing.
Because he would mention that if he does see her.
Yep.
Is that your third cup of coffee?
That's only my second cup. I'm only drinking coffee because I'm cold.
Fair.
He has the fan in the room. He just turned it off, but it was on earlier.
Ah, I see.
Hmm.
Well, it's been going down to 35 or so. So if you want to get the house cold, what do? Don't turn the air on. Let the natural wind in.
No kidding.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right. She has made her roll. Yours is
Alrighty.
your wits, auspics.
My wits auspics versus that, yeah.
Can you do? Oh,
5
what's an
dice. Auspics is my discipline, so it's just my discipline dice plus my wits.
All right. So you got a 5, and she got 4. So you would have spotted her when you walked in.
Okay. So, and he will, when she mentions that her husband might send people to observe, and after all that, what he says, the whole might be put. You know which part of that conversation I'm talking about. Which he will say, although of course, Scylla would probably be really good for that. And he'll just pointedly just like look over to where she is.
She fades into view, and it's giving you the stink eye.
Or she fades in, she just flips them off.
My apologies, I've been a little on edge, as you can probably understand.
Nora looks at you. Well, that's new. Is that something you could teach me?
Perhaps. It is a different branch, but it could be something you might learn.
But yes, I could. We could always send Scylla and perhaps Charybdis. To both hang above you and out of sight.
Of course.
With more backup, ready to spring into action if it's necessary.
Yes.
Now, if Dorcas catches wind of this and makes it out to be something other than what you told us, even if the excuse is thin, my husband is liable to side with her. Now,
I understand.
having said that, whatever his fondness for her, if she tries to kill someone in his domain, bring final death to one of his subjects, he will react appropriately to that.
Of course.
Any hard evidence you present him, I should say, is acceptable. But if we can't prove it, if there's any wiggle room, he will give her the benefit of the doubt.
Understand. As I told Mr. Tucker, my sire is also on standby, should it become necessary.
But not the rest of your clan.
In the interest of maintaining the sanctity of your husband's domain, I will inform you. Do you know anything about mine and my sire's bloodline at all? Aside from that we are Tremere.
I know you're both English, of course. Other than that, not really.
Actually, Scylla might know the name as well. Have either of you heard of Carl Schrecht?
Lady just gets looking for like, yes, we've heard of Carl Schreck. I think everyone knew him even before the pyramid fell. Or knew of him.
Sam just sort of gives a
Oh,
ta-da motion.
oh my! I'll be honest, I didn't realize the Tremere even kept up with the child or sire relationship as closely.
Few do. My bloodline, going back to him, is one of them. And my sire has made the offer to, if necessary, send word to him.
Nora kind of rears back in her seat a little bit. I don't think that'll be necessary. This is a matter, internal matter to Huntsville.
Yes, and I did inform him of that. I said I have plans of my own to put in place, and as I said, I am doing everything I can to preserve the sanctity of your husband's domain. I want to prevent that from happening because I know the reputation that the head of my bloodline has as a Justicar.
Well, we shouldn't need his help to deal with Dorcas. Though whatever it is that she's in league with...
Have you read my notes on that matter?
I've given them a quick look. It appears that we may have an actual Methuselah. I'm hesitant to believe it, but you lay out a good case. And I know you're not given to flights of fancy.
He'll reach in and he'll pull out the notebook. These are notes from the chantry head before Alejandro and the one before him.
Oh, this must have... She's looking at the damage on it. I assume this was in the original Chantry Library.
Yes. And then Dorcas stole it. Alexander actually is in a decent amount of trouble with her for even mentioning it to me at all.
Oh, I can imagine. I imagine she had some doubts about his loyalty. Or his competency.
Which is what I believe is why she gave him the task to lure me to the quarry.
Which means she may be ready, but she may be ready for a double cross if she thinks Alexander is compromised.
Exactly. Which is why I am reaching out.
When you go to this meeting, I believe we can send Scylla and Charybdis with you. We will have to ask the prince, of course.
Of course.
But I believe that is a reasonable enough action that he'll have no objections.
Of course. I will do all I can to ensure that the worst possible option does not come to fruition, which would be the head of my bloodline coming to the city.
That would be bad, Samuel. That would not endear you to any of us.
Well, if the worst possible thing came to happen, it wouldn't matter to me anyway. I would be dead.
Yes, and just leaving the rest of us to twist in the wind as your grandsire shows up, wanting to know what happened.
Which is why I'm doing everything I can to ensure that doesn't come to pass.
She doesn't seem upset when she says it. She's just kind of like... But I think any of us facing final death would choose to burn everything down around us.
Well, as I told him, there is an old saying amongst the kine that stuck with me when I was in the war, down in the front lines in World War II and World War I. If you're going to die, tear out the throat of what's killing you.
That's a very kindred sort of saying. About then, you hear the front door kind of slam open. Or perhaps it opens quickly and you hear it slam shut.
Just sort of raises a brow.
Nora just kind of sits back, crosses her fingers, just looks at the door. As just a few seconds later, the prince comes walking in fairly quickly.
Samuel immediately stands and bows, my prince.
He looks at you. He looks at Dora. What is he doing here? Samuel, why don't you fill him in briefly?
Brief explanation. Okay.
And he walks over and starts. The prince steps over. He's looking at the stuff on the table.
Me, IRL, I'm like legitimately shaking with nerves. Not gonna lie.
Good sir, that is how I started this.
Yeah.
It also doesn't help that I am cold, so it makes the jittering of my body worse.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
The
fine.
The prince isn't that scary.
No,
I'm not
what I'm concerned about is that man up there called the storyteller.
Prince, fine. Storyteller, terrifying.
Yeah.
'Cause
He is
right
effectively God. He's effectively God.
Right now, he has got so much information that he could use to weave the story in a direction we don't see coming.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
That's
the
a
prince
lot.
starts flipping. He's
Sorry.
like waiting for you to start talking. He starts ruffling through the. He finds you see him particularly stop and start looking at one of the ones describing your vision.
Alexander came to me tonight to inform me that Dorcas has called final death upon me.
At the quarry.
Yes, sir.
There's a slight growling kind of in the back of his throat. Nora's kind of looking at him. How did you know the quarry? Other sources have brought this to my attention. When is Alexander supposed to lure you there?
I told him that I would need upwards of 2 nights to finish my personal business, and that I would be with him, and then I'd be free to make sure all plans are put in place.
And that's what you're here doing? Putting plans into motion?
I would prefer to not be put to final death. I think all of us could agree to that for their own selves.
Yes. Yes, if anyone's going to kill you in this city, it should be me.
And if I've done something to deserve it, then it is well within your right.
He looks down at his wife. So what plans have y'all put into motion? Or what plans have y'all been discussing? And she goes into the whole having Scylla and Cryptus back you up. He nods. I believe I will be there as well. Has anyone seen Travis? He doesn't really look at Samuel when he asks that. He's looking at Dora and the Seneschal. You see the Seneschal give a brief shake of his head.
I do have his number. I could ask.
We've tried that. Nothing for you to be concerned about.
Does that trigger a vision?
No.
Nothing for you to be concerned about. Immediate concern.
Yeah.
The Scourge is often gone dark when doing an investigation. It's not that unusual. It's simply annoying.
So I could see about maybe casting my vision towards him, see if I could see what he might be doing.
No, he may be doing things that I would not wish you to see. That are none of your business.
Of course, I understand. He, of course, presented as an option for you to use.
Alright, so in 2 nights' time, you're to be lured to the quarry. That's at the edges of the old Gangrel territory. It doesn't technically belong to anyone at the moment, though some of my wife's clan's business interests are involved. And it's secluded. Yes, it'd be a good place for an ambush. I assume you've alerted your people?
I have told my sire. I have Alexander speaking with my coterie. I have a few other people I still need to meet. Alejandro, one of them. Although I am a little on the fence about that. I'm not sure how he'd react.
Do you trust him to back you up in this?
Yes and no. Not so much to back me up, as it were, perhaps maybe to at least ensure that there is another ancilla of the Tremere still in the city, to help keep our numbers here within your domain.
He and Dorcas were not overly fond of one another. Keep him out of the loop on this.
Of course.
If it comes to his attention that you have, and he is upset about it, direct him to me.
Of course, my prince. I would also like to say, in considering the circumstance, I have told Mr. Tucker and your wife, Lady Dashler, my sire has presented a last resort contingent plan, which is to contact my grandsire. I am doing everything I can to prevent that.
Who is your grandsire?
Carl Schrecht.
It's like the temperature in the room drops 2 degrees and the prince just gives you all, you just like...
Hence my own plans, my prince. I'm doing everything I can to ensure that there is no breach of your domain.
If your sire calls a Justicar into my city, he had best leave with the Justicar.
I understand. That's why I'm putting all of my plans into motion.
And as an aside, I totally like how you're laying this at your sire's feet. Oh, yes, my sire's ideal.
Technically, it is, because Samuel said.
No, you were the one that said about the head.
Yes, and he was talking about the prince. His sire was the one that
jumped to conclusion.
Yes.
And
so it is on his sire's
idea.
feet. So this one is on its sire's feet.
We've really got to work on our code names for everybody.
And Samuel's taking advantage of it. He's been threatened with final death. Nothing is sacred.
Alexander has secretly been threatened with death.
Yeah.
Not blatantly, just you fuck up, you may not be walking out of here next time. Oh, goody.
Did Alexander tell him that Dorcas told him that?
Anyone else is welcome to jump in. As far as I'm aware,
I'm trying to remember.
I think he made it sound like he was in danger.
yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know.
He
He
definitely-
specifically said, "I think she's going to kill me
Right.
if I screw this up."
He did have, like, mentioned that he has a target on his back, so...
That's
That's
true.
true.
He has brought that up at multiple meetings. So
Yeah.
Yeah, he brought that up, and he brought up the simple fact of which he was in an uncomfortable position because he felt a tightening grip when she was trying to get information from him, knowing he was in danger, so he had to say something,
Right.
or he could have not walked out.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say he did that part where he said he might not have walked out.
Alexander also did mention that in his meeting with Dorcas, that he felt as if he had to spill what he knew to her, or he wouldn't be walking out of there. And has mentioned to us, the coterie, several times that he has a target on his back as well. Mostly because, I believe it's because he brought this notebook to my attention that she took from the remains of our chantry.
yes, that is something. That the Tremere might well go to war over.
Yes. Considering,
It's a very, very poor idea for anyone to take the Tremere books and keep them.
Other than a Tremere, yes. From all the research that I've been putting together, which is all laid out here, and your wife has also mentioned it, it is entirely possible that there might be a Methuselah under the city. That my vision showed Dorcas attempting to communicate with.
He looks through. He pulls out. Well, he was already looking at the.
Yeah, and it's got all the notes about Mithras, Unconquered Sun, about hit specific. Because I wrote down specifically what you said during that one vision, where he said, "If Cain's whelps are out, how long will it be before he is out too?" That how he's trying to hide from the Unconquered Sun to sleep so he doesn't hear the call. How he's being chased by the dragon, or he fears the dragon will find him. And all that all that stuff is in there too.
Roll me. Let me pull up. All right, this would be. I guess wits. I don't think it's awareness. Insight.
It's insight.
Yes.
Okay. Will this be like something for him to like see, or?
You're looking for a reaction in somebody.
Okay. Would this be anything his heightened senses would trigger, or would I get no bonus from that?
Go ahead and put a bonus on it.
Will do. So you said wits, insight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, that's not the bestest roll he's ever made. But it's better
Hey,
than
there's
that.
that roll. There's that roll. I'm going to do a willpower reroll
All right.
to at least roll 3 of them.
Take a superficial willpower damage then.
Yes. Okay, 2.
All those good dice days are coming back to bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
All right, so that is a
Yeah.
tie, and I believe ties go to the player.
Okay.
Yeah, he rolled it a poop too.
Okay.
When you mentioned the dragon, you see him tense. You see the prince tense. You know, the skin gets tight around his eyes.
He just Samuel sort of looks up and just
It's only for a moment.
brow raised.
You know, he catches
Yeah.
he catches himself pretty quick, but you catch that reaction.
He just a blink as he processes that.
You see Lady Deshler giving him a look too. Looks like mostly curiosity on her face. It's like she caught whatever it was and doesn't understand what.
Yeah.
But apparently he continued to read.
Mm-hmm.
You know where this thing is sleeping.
He'll pull out the map, spread out the map, point out where he marked it, and pull out the notes that he took from his very detailed vision of that sort of hidden path that he found that wasn't lit up. That his dream took him through, I should say.
The prince yells for someone whose name you don't know off the top of your head. Pretty sure it's a ghoul when the young man comes running in. You're pretty sure it's a ghoul. He hands him the map. Make me a copy of this. Oh, you see me have this. And put it into something watertight.
Laminate this.
Go to Staples.
Laser etch this in aluminum for me.
Yeah.
Could you carve this into stone for me in the next 20 minutes?
Clay tablets and then bake them. Don't overbake them though; they'll crack. No.
Oh God.
You have been a busy little warlock, Samuel.
That I have.
If all of this turns out as you have said, if Dorcas is overstepping her bounds in my domain, if she has allied with an old one, especially if all of that is true and Alejandro is untrustworthy, you will have done a great, great service for me. If it all turns out to be untrue, I would suggest getting out of town before I realize that.
Of course.
But yes, when you're preparing to go to the quarry, let us know. Scylla and Charybdis will shadow you. And I will have the sheriff and his child or deputies on standby. I do not believe we will let the Nos deputies know anything about this. I have no doubt their loyalty is more to her than to the sheriff.
Of course. That is something that Alexander did mention, is that don't forget your loyalty to the clan. He did mention that she made him pick.
I noticed his loyalty to his prince was not in there.
You have mine.
Yes, if all this is proven true, you will have shown great loyalty.
You've given me everything that I could ask for. Of course you have my loyalty.
You see Scylla in the corner, having obfuscated again.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just making this little motion. And then it's like she stops and realizes you can see her and drops her hand.
Well, it's like, yeah, probably in full view of the prince, Samuel just right in Scylla's direction. Just like, really? And then he'll look back at the prince.
I will have Charybdis shadowing you until the meeting, in case Dorcas becomes impatient or comes to doubt Alexander's loyalties.
Of course.
And there'll be a few more minutes of you going, you having to go back over all the papers and stuff with him and bring him completely up to speed.
Yeah. And Samuel will say that while these are his original notes, he does have copies if they would like a copy of all of his notes.
The prince is like, we'll just keep these as you have copies.
Fair enough. That notebook, however, I would have to ask to stay with me. As he mentions the notebook that came from the chantry.
It will be returned to you at the conclusion of all of this. And he's just staring at you like he's daring you to object again.
Yeah, he does take a breath, and there's definitely a visible internal fight in his face, and he just very well, my prince.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I and my wife and my seneschal need to make plans.
Of course. I need to further my own myself.
As you step out of the room, one of the ghouls is there, escorts you to the door.
Let's say, is it the same ghoul that greets him every time he comes over to the Deschlers?
The one escorting you out, yes.
Okay. Before he leaves, he'll pause and look at him. He's like, should things turn out poorly, I would like to say it's been nice meeting you.
Oh, well, thank you, Doctor.
You have been a credit to Lady Deschler.
Well, thank you. I hope she realizes that someday.
You're still here, aren't you?
This is true, and I have seen others come and go.
Then I'm sure she knows. Have a good night.
You as well, Doctor.
And if it's about that time to go meet Obla, then he'll start taking the drive there. But that'll take a bit. If we want to cut to anybody else, because that took a while.
yes, it did. Cutting back to the Primrose. So y'all been talking for a little while. Blackjack excused himself. Once all the information had gotten out, he had stuff to do. What do you three want to do with the rest of your evening? Do you have preparations you want to make?
Well, now with this info, she's definitely going to try to go hunting again.
There could be a big fight, and I'm at 3 hunger.
Should probably eat before all this goes down.
Alright, give me another roll.
Okay.
And are you still hunting in your normal method?
Yeah, I mean, she could try to hunt animals. What's the role to hunt animals?
Domestic or actual hunting?
Hunting.
With survival, I believe is what we've been rolling.
There goes nothing. 3.
Alright.
Fanny, what do you want?
Cat's mother left me.
What did I usually make Jolene roll? I am blanking.
I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 successes.
I want to say it tended to be 4. I think if when it comes up 4, I would let you get a deer.
3 would be raccoons, rabbits.
So you managed to get a raccoon. You managed to slack 1 hunger.
Okay, one's better than nothing.
Yeah, a deer would only have gotten you 2. That's not a big difference. What is Jolene gonna do?
She is going to text Samuel. Do you want me to call in that favor we have?
This would be taking, you're doing this at the kind of conclusion of your meeting at the Primrose. You would send that message, but this is probably when he's got his phone. I imagine he's got his phone off while he's speaking with the prince and the Lady Dishman.
Probably.
Absolutely.
So he wouldn't be able to respond to you until the meeting was over.
Yeah, she'll leave that there and figure he's probably, like, doing some weird magic shit or something. Who knows? But she'll kind of put out feelers to the other alchemists that should it come to Samuel needing assistance, considering how the Coterie has kind of been the, leading the charge in keeping the Thinbloods safe, especially as far as Samuel getting the human mage to put up wards around the Thinblood apartment building. See if any of them are feeling friendly as far as potentially assisting with alchemical concoctions, offensive or defensive.
Let's see, how would they care for the... Are you doing this by text, or do you drive by the apartment complex?
She'd probably swing by and kind of talk in person. Because she knows the other ones that are alchemists. So she'd be like, hey, text the group of them, be like, hey, can I meet up with y'all? I got a couple questions.
Sure. So they all meet up. And I told you there's, 2 or 3 other alchemists?
Yeah, there wasn't that many of them.
Yeah,
it
wasn't a whole
half
lot.
The amount of day drinkers.
So the 3 of them are waiting on you when you get there. You start giving them this spiel, and they're looking like... So you want us to fight? You want us to go out and help him fight some full-bloods, some Nosferatus that we can't see, that if they get pissy with us could pick us off the street and we'd never know they were there.
Yeah, you know what? Never mind. It sounded stupid. I'll just go myself.
One of the guys, oh, wait a second, I didn't do it. It didn't say we wouldn't go. It's just, I mean, it's not wise for you to go either.
I'm kind of rolling with that I'm doing stupid shit plan. It's so far worked for me. And let's face it, we've got a lot shorter shelf life than some of the full-bloods.
One of the guys is like, well, I can, I can hide in shadows, kind of like a Nos. That could be useful. I mean, I can't hide anybody else, but...
Yeah. I mean, we know it only works on us. I think one of my coterie mates kind of has the other 2 kind of covered as far as keeping them hidden.
The guy that was quickest to go, wait, I didn't say I wouldn't go. He's like, I can pack a punch when I need to.
I mean,
and he's one of the ones that you
probably
specifically discussed the potence potion with.
Honestly, knowing Samuel, he'll probably put a kibosh on it. But I wanted to put out some feelers before it came to calling y'all, the night before or something like that.
Those 2 kind of look at each other. Hey, we can. Man, we've got some supply already, and we'll work on a few things.
I can get you some stuff if you need. I mean, I got my own stuff. I can let you borrow some stuff.
They start going over what supplies they've got. The third one looks really apologetic at you, but it's like, I don't really have anything good in a fight.
Look, this is not me pressuring any of you. I'm putting it out there. He's kept us all kind of safer than most full-bloods would, so...
I mean, I hate not to help, but yeah, I mean, he's done a lot.
I mean,
y'all all done a lot for us, but...
If nothing else, just help the folks make some stuff. Well, I'll run some supplies if I need to, but this doesn't leave this room.
Oh, no,
This
no.
information, don't leave this room.
Oh, yeah, we wouldn't want anybody else. There's a few of the others that, might follow you in there, even
No.
even without any kind of equalizers.
Yeah. I'm sure they mean well, but probably just end up more in trouble than anything.
Quite possibly.
If it ends up being nothing, if it ends up he's got this all Samueled out, I'll get in contact with you. But I haven't heard anything back. She kind of holds up her phone, so as soon as I know.
All right. Well, we'll start
Let
cranking
y'all
some stuff
know.
out, so we're prepped if we need to go.
Yeah, if you need anything weird, let me know. I can usually wrangle it up somehow.
Okay.
And then honestly, even though she's at 2 hunger, because she knows a lot of her stuff she has to rouse for it, she's going to go hunt something small just to kind of
All right.
quiet the beast a little more.
You give me a roll.
I forget where I put theirs. I'm going to willpower one or two.
Alrighty.
She can like get a raccoon, which is...
They get you up to a 3. That'll get you a, we'll say a possum this go round. But it's a nice fat one.
It's juicy. She just wanted to get down to like as low as she could, just knowing that she might have to do rouse rolls.
It's weird, but marsupials taste different
It's because they're colder.
than regular mammals.
Yeah, it's because possums are colder. It's just it's like the cold soups.
Gazpacho.
It tastes like soup. Yeah, it's like a gazpacho.
It's like a walking, hissing bowl of gazpacho soup. Makes you wonder about monotremes. They're even colder.
And she'll just wait for the text back.
Alexander, once everybody starts leaving the Primrose, what do you do?
Hyperventilate.
Find a church and pray, pray, pray.
Don't have to breathe, but suddenly I'm hyperventilating.
Right. Just has a mild conniption. That is a good question. Well, after doing that oh so glorious little stunt to show off what he can and cannot do, he would have to join Maeve in the good old hunting. However, he's just he ain't going to Blackjack's farm, but he'll definitely go borrow the other farm.
All right, so you obfuscate and swing by the Jones Valley farm, family farm.
Yeah, it's been a while since
Jones family farm.
It's been a while since he made one of the cows look a little anemic.
All right, that is true. Y'all have gone a little while since y'all have swung by and hunted there. All right, give me a roll. This was a domesticated animal, which we said would be... What did we say that would be?
Animal handling and something.
Let's go with wits.
Or animal kin.
Yeah. Getting your systems mixed up. Been there.
Oh. I got my predator dice I can roll.
Well, that is based on... See, what kind of predator are you?
Armor.
I'm a farmer.
Okay.
But
I mean...
we said there was difference between hunting, and domestic animals.
So
Yeah, because
say
go
what?
with the I guess wits animal kin. Because it's about soothing the animal as you creep up on him.
Mother. Okay.
You only managed to get a hold of a calf.
Oh, which is even sadder.
Yeah, it is. Baby, how could you?
So you can get 2 and leave it dead
Oh.
and bring attention, or 1 and leave it, wobbling around lightheaded, but
Oh no, he's definitely gonna leave it just slate 1 so he has 2 hunger
Okay.
and lick the wound closed like shh, it's okay, you just go on back to mama. Rushes off in the night. It's like, that's alright, I'm better. I've quit with the beast. I'm not starting to see hallucinations. I mean, I doubt that's what happens, but
No.
at least if nothing else, he's at least brought his hunger down to at least 2.
All right. So Samuel, the meeting's finally over. You're heading to Obla's. You turn your phone back on. You've got a message from Jolene.
Okay. That reminds me, what did the message say again verbatim?
Geez, don't ask me verbatim. Do you want me to
I'll be
call
right
in a favor
back.
we're owed?
His response will be, with whom?
Some of my classmates.
Vinny, why?
Because it is our arrow symbol, so.
Keep that on the back burner.
Cool, I've already alerted them.
Of course you did.
Followed by like 2 or 3 smiley faces.
Vinny?
There's like a shit-eating grin emoji.
I
You're a
swear
brat.
I swore I thought I heard him squeak. There you go. Don't be scaring me like that, child.
Yeah, his response to that is, you're a brat.
They're all aware that it's a surprise party, so nothing should come of it. And I've told them that if the party gets canceled, I'll let them know.
Okay. Probably for the best.
I don't know if you guys can see me or not.
You're holding a void.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he stopped meowing.
Mother, pay attention to me.
Mother.
No, it's like I go to him and he'll run into our bedroom. And it's like, kid.
Mother, I want to nap.
Yeah, I napped earlier and he just curled up against my leg.
Mother, love me.
Scully, what were you doing over there, ma'am? Hmm?
Getting into shit.
Mm.
Mind your own business, Mom. I'm going to the mall to hang out. You can't stop me.
Yeah.
Could you track me there and drop me off and pick me up? I'll wait in the parking lot. Don't drop me off at the door.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to see how bad of a car you're dropping me off in is. My friends think I'm all well off, Mom. Cause they get treats every day. Oh, actually, I haven't gotten them treats in a while. That's fine. Yeah, you're not going up there with our.
For the summary for the storyteller that just got back, she told some of her classmates about it. But if the surprise party gets canceled, she'll let them know.
Okay.
Keep that on the back burner. Cool, I've already told them. Should have answered your phone quicker.
Well, even if they were on the back burner, though, you'd want them to know so they could prepare just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit takes a while to brew.
Mm-hmm. And it does.
She's probably had one that she'll probably take for this one, brewing since before. Well, let me see how long that one takes to make. Since before last session. Because there's some that can take like a week to brew.
Yeah.
Okay, and Samuel was headed to Calhoun.
Yes, he was.
All right, so you get to Calhoun at the appointed time.
Mm-hmm.
In time to catch Obla going on her lunch break.
Yes.
At a distance, you see one of her co-workers. You think it was... In fact, you recognize her as the lady that you spoke to the last time. Well, one of the last times you were meeting Obla.
I'm about to say, yeah, is it the same one?
She doesn't say nothing. I mean, she's at a distance. She gives you a little wave and a big smile. Goes on about her business. But
Samuel waves back.
Abla's walking up to you. She glad. No. What was it you needed to speak with me about, Samuel?
A little bit of a private matter. That might be a potential interest to your family.
No? Come into my office. Gets in there, gets the door shut.
Mm.
She's got a little box fan by the door. She turns that on.
Mm.
She goes, I don't think anyone will listen at the door, but just in case.
Of course. I will preface this, and he'll walk over to her so they're not so they're far away from the door over at her desk. I'll preface this with the prince is already aware.
She kind of straightens up like, okay, this is serious.
And then he will reach into his pack and pull out the copies of all his notes and just on her desk.
These aren't the originals? Bah!
Said
Well-
copy, right? Stamped.
Well, the prince kept the originals.
She starts looking over things. Oh, there's a dragon.
I wouldn't look into that one, as the prince had an odd reaction to it.
Like he didn't believe there was a dragon, like he was shocked that there was a dragon, like he knew what it was or what it's likely referring to. I'm sure it's not.
That latter
Literal.
option, I think. He reacted like... Best I could tell, like there was a reaction of, oh, kind of reaction to it.
So this means you've got in your notes you've got write-ups of the visions that
Yeah.
Brooks shared with Maeve,
Mm-hmm.
because that's usually where you've been getting the dragon stuff.
Yeah.
His visions are what the dead children have been telling him.
And he also had the vision of where he got from the Methuselah of where he was worried that the dragon was following him. That's where he got from himself. But he'd also note that the prince seems to have the whole dragon bit.
Still, according to these notes, the children have been saying there was a dragon in the wildlife refuge.
Yes.
The prince has had that barred to entry from other kindred virtually since the moment he took power. Whatever the dragon represents, clearly it's something the prince is already aware of.
Yes. However, what I think might be of interest to you is something that I found that is sleeping beneath the city.
The thing that the Bali were wishing to awaken.
Potentially. It is not outside the realm of possibility. They might have misunderstood what they read that brought them here. But all of my studies, I believe a Methuselah sleeps underneath the city.
One that has avoided the calling all this time.
By sleeping. Yes.
We were never really sure if Torpor would keep the calling at bay or not.
My visions say that it does. It's one of the things that resonated when my visions were cast over to it is that as long as it can stay asleep, it can avoid the call.
That makes sense. And the truly old ones can be fairly active while still being asleep.
Yes.
Now, do you have written in the notes about the stuff about Grandmother Dorcas, or was that just...
That stuff is recent.
Okay.
So that much is
So
not
she's
written
not
down.
she's not getting this from glancing through the notes.
No.
So what is bringing this to a head that you needed to come talk to me about it?
In case again, this is something the prince is aware of, and he has plans in place to handle it. I am just putting down contingency plans of my own. This is in case I disappear in the next 2 days.
That you decide to disappear, or that someone disappears you?
That I am forced to disappear.
What enemies have you made, Samuel?
The Nosferatu, apparently.
And it's related to this? Well, if it's under the city, though, they'd be the ones that would find it.
My last vision that brought this all to head, I witnessed the Primogen of the Nosferatu speaking with it.
The one they call Grandmother.
Yes. As I said, I'm not 100% sure that this is what the Bali are after. But in case it is, and I am no longer able to research it, I believe it might be of use to your family.
Yes. Well, yes. If this is calling Bali to it, or just causing it to show up, this is definitely information we would want. I hope you have plans in motion to keep yourself safe, Samuel.
The prince has, from what I understand from my meeting with him earlier tonight, himself, the two gargoyles, Scylla and Charybdis, who the latter I believe might be outside, as well as I believe the Bruja members of the sheriff's department will be going with me. Not to mention my own coterie, more than likely.
Well, I was going to offer the services of two of my clanmates, but it seems like you've got it well in hand.
I do appreciate it.
Well, don't forget how long my clan spent working for contracts. So we are still not above such things.
I understand. If it does come down to it, I will certainly keep contracting your warriors in mind.
Well, let us know if you need us, and I will share what you've shared with me. I will share with my father.
You were brought to the Camarilla. Many of the Tremere, of course, do not trust you, given our history.
It's bad blood, and it runs deep.
It does. But if we are to make this work, of you joining us of the Camarilla, I figure I might as well do my part as well. That, and it does help that there aren't very many other of the more sorcerous inclined of our experience that are here, that are of such fine, are such aesthetically pleasing to the eyes.
She kind of laughs, shakes her head. You're a terrible flirt.
I am.
And I think and don't take this the wrong way, I think a fairly atypical Tremere.
Well, if that is one thing my sire saw in me. I believe in the. Well, I am a physician and doctor first and foremost, as well as a researcher. Some of that did rub off on me, even as kindred.
Well, as I said, keep yourself safe, Samuel. And if you need our assistance, just contact me.
I will. Have a good night, Abla.
You as well. And she shows you to the door.
And is Charybdis out there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Samuel sees him with the. Since the
Well, you don't see when you first step out, but as you get in your car, you look up and he's apparently perched on top of the building, where he had a good view of your car.
Mm-hmm. He sort of gives a quick glance up and just.
Well, he's too far away for you to really see his expressions.
Heightened senses.
You see him give a little jerk, and you're pretty sure, you can't even at this distance, even with the heightened senses inside a car, you don't hear him, but you're pretty sure.
Yeah.
Reading his lips, he was like, "Well, I'll be damned." Like maybe he'd been told that you could spot him now, but maybe he didn't quite buy it.
Yeah, Samuel just gives a friendly grin and just sort of one of those like nods of sort of camaraderie nods, and he'll get in his car and he'll drive off.
Okay. Trying to think. Well, it's about 15 minutes early. But truthfully...
That's everything I had.
If anyone's got anything else they want to do tonight, we probably have time to squeeze that in. The next kind of something I have planned, we can't... There's no point in trying to start it with this 15 minutes. So, any of the rest of you have anything else you wish to accomplish?
15 minutes?
Do it now.
We can't just have the brawl in 15 minutes?
No.
If anything, Alexander will head back to his.
That's right. That I forgot. You were supposed to meet that guy at 4 in the morning.
At 4 a.m.
Oh, has it already been? Oh well, yeah, I guess so.
Well, literally, since
Yeah.
you said he would see you in the morning, and it was
I-
before midnight when you got the message, so that'd be before this evening. So we probably do have time to cover that.
God darn it, cat! Bring my arm around, I pretty much bopped this boy upside his head.
Well, teach him to give you your space.
I didn't know he was jumping in my lap until all of a sudden, as I'm stretching, I bring my arm back and I feel something just go whap.
Sounds like the excuse my father used, but let me bust my head wide open on the hearth. He was laying on the ground on the floor watching TV with his knees up, and I ran and I dove at him, and he just on instinct dropped those knees, so I went sailing over him and into the hearth. I still have the scar. I still have the scar.
Do you tell your father every time you see him?
No, I have mentioned to him that, I remember that I was wearing my Hulk pajamas when it happened, and I never saw him after that.
Oh no!
So I think they got pretty bloody.
Probably.
Anyway, weird tangent. Alright, so early morning, all of you are returning to your individual havens. Alexander, you get to your house, 4 a.m. sharp, there's a knock on your back door, which is generally how the whip,
He opens to the door, welcomes him in warmly.
Morning, Alexander.
Yes, good morning.
Alright, so grandmother needs to know exactly what store you used to get Samuel there, so we'll know how to properly prep. Because you said he needed 2 days before the meeting, so does he think he's meeting someone? Was that just the term you were using because you were on text?
That was just the term I was using since I was doing that through text. I let Samuel know that I had had a little bit of a breakthrough on research and might have an idea of where he needs to go. So far, from what my sources are showing, I let him know that from what my sources were showing, that there was apparently something in the quarry, maybe a passage, maybe some type of evidence, but for the most part it's something that needs his attention to look at. That way I can know for certain, since he's the one that's having these dreams and premonitions, that he would have a better inkling than I would. I
Okay,
know
that's
he doesn't.
good. And it makes
He doesn't
sense.
tell me.
And
He doesn't tell me every little small detail, so I figured if I'm just as vague as he tends to be.
yeah, the whip knots. All right, that's good. That works. If he's looking for something underground, the quarry is a perfectly reasonable place to find some sort of entrance. There actually are some entrances to the underground there, but all right. So it'll be. He had said 2 nights. So is that counting tonight? And I'm asking this. This is me asking. So is it tonight and the night after is the 2 nights?
Tonight, yeah, tonight, the night after, and then the following night he'll be free.
Okay.
Considering this message got to him at the very beginning of this night, that gave him tonight to lay out the groundwork, the next night to make sure everything's in place, and then.
Okay. I'm not going to lie to you, Alexander. You've been on thin ice with a grandmother after that book debacle.
Oh, trust me.
When you're a master spy, don't go, and somebody confides in you. Somebody on your side, mind you. Keep it to yourself.
Now, as I've stated to her, and as I've stated to you, or at least tried to state to the entire clan, that was my idiocy of not knowing every of all the details needed for per clan, but I'm trying my best not to replicate that mistake.
You were alone for a long time, so you weren't really in the business. But if we pull this off, I'm sure you'll be back in her good graces. And hey, man, he kind of pops you on the shoulder. I know it's got to be rough. The doc always seemed like good people, as good as any of us are, anyway. But if the stuff well, depending on what he knows, but if that stuff gets out about us, it'd be rough on us. So you're really doing the clan a service, helping us out like this. But gives you a pat on the back even before he leaves. But I'll let grandmother know what the cover is, and we'll be prepped when he shows up. Good job, Alexander.
Thank you.
And he shows his way out.
He quickly shuts the door, and in his head he thinks about it. He's like, right, let's see what this beloved armory can hold for me. He starts rummaging through his armory, looking around.
Getting ready to go to war.
Oh yeah, no, he's essentially like spinning wall panels and looking at stuff like this is good, and then he, by say of storyteller's transgression or of approval, he comes across an interesting little thing of yes, an old classic, holds up a crossbow. It might be useful.
It's perfectly reasonable if you'd have a crossbow. They're not particularly hard to come by or anything. You can get them at most any sporting goods store.
Mm-hmm. It's fun.
No, and then he grins and he looks a few rows down. Sees a particularly interesting decorated piece, something of a dragon on the end of the barrel. I'll save you for last if I need it.
So is that you hinting that that you've got some dragon breath rounds if you need it?
Pretty much. Hey, in comparison to Samuel, who, you know, being former military, probably has a lot more munitions than him. He at least has something in case shit goes down to where it's like, well, I need heavier firepower. But for now, the crossbow with maybe a few stakes in mind will suffice.
Alright, so you get your arsenal laid out that you plan on using.
Oh yeah.
And with that,
Yeah,
we'll go ahead and close
he's
her out.
ready.
As a side, Jolene would be also on top of potions, like Googling how to make Molotov cocktails. Fire's always great.
So if this was a show, we'd be ending with a montage of everybody prepping.
Pretty much.
Like everyone grabbing
Yeah.
weapons.
Doing rituals, doing alchemy,
Time.
sorting out
In the
weapons,
background.
walking her dog.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Well,
if
fair.
anybody asked Maeve where they could get alcohol, she'd be like, well, my job. Just in the dead of the night when they close.
In the dark of the night, evil wolf. Sorry.
Send people to get some alcohol. There you go.
Jolene's got weird shit. She's probably fine as far as things that are flammable.
Hairspray and cigarette lighters, all you need. Anyway,
gas potion. Getting the classic hairspray.
Oh.
so we're going to end there, and we'll come back next week and see about how this little kerfluffle works out.
Yeah.
In the meantime, tomorrow we should have an episode of Monster of the Week, Eyes of the Fallen, that V is running. Thursday night should be Descent into Avernus. Don't have anything on Friday. Saturday is The Stolen Cities. And then back on Monday, this coming Monday will be the second episode of The Troubleshooters. They had their premiere episode yesterday. And then we're back on Tuesday. So again, I've been your storyteller for the evening, Jason from over the Nerd Turtle Network. And with me has been Duba playing the conflicted Alexander. Eric playing Samuel. Rap playing Maeve. And Sarah playing Jolene. And again, we've been missing our Bruja, but it's okay. He was up to things tonight. Y'all will find out about that next week. And with that, we'll just sign off here. See y'all later.
Let's take that your lost wave.
Basically.